I totally did not forget about this channel. Remember when I made fun of mobile games ads? Well, I'm about to contradict myself, technically, because today I bring you the best mobile game that you're not playing. Death's Door is an action-adventure game developed by Acid Nerve, a UK indie studio based in Manchester.
Biggest fool in Manchester.
This game was originally released on 2021 on all platforms, but recently it was released on mobile behind a Netflix subscription. So yeah.
Can you do OnlyFans? Take off your shoes.
Playing this game feels different. While most games nowadays go with the baby approach where you're told where and what to do, this game says, nah man, forget about it. You're a crow, collecting souls, go do your job. And that's it. You're never quite truly told exactly what to do and where to go, forcing you, the player, to explore and learn more. So you embark on the journey to collect your very first soul, and you did it! Congratulations! But wait, something happened. Uh-oh. This big crow scammed me. Now you're stuck, forced to do Big Bro's job for him or you're dead. Thus, Death's Door begins, and from that you have 3 giant souls to collect. But like I said, no one telling you nothing, except for a tiny advice you get from the big crow to go to the witch first, which you can easily ignore and go to anywhere else. And in that shines the freedom that Death's Door presents you. As if you go to any other of the 2 giant souls, say for example Betty, you'll find a problem. You see, this game may not tell you nothing outright, but it uses the environment to communicate with the player. As when you reach the stranded sailor area, which is the area leading up to Betty, while moving around, you'll find this weirdly placed block blocking the way. Get it? Blocking. Funny. Anywho, the game without saying a single word creates intrigue for the player. The player now wonders whether the game is saying you cannot come here or you're not ready yet, forcing the player to retreat, swallow their pride, and listen to Big Bro's advice. By going to the witch, it is here where you find the very first thing that makes this game amazing: level design and liberty. As we already touched upon liberty, let's talk level design. Each of the 3 souls, Betty, the witch, and the King Frog, all have their very own uniquely laid out levels, making each feel different and standing out, coupled with an amazing soundtrack to go with each area. When you arrive at any of these areas, the game continues its ghosting level, forcing you to think more and more, only to find clever ways to overcome each obstacle. Using fire arrows for the witch, this big plan for the Frog King, and the traversal in the Betty area. But that's not all. Each area has this big door that needs 4 souls to open, thus you traverse in the level beating many puzzles and enemies to liberate these souls. And once you do so, the game then rewards you. Psych, even the reward is earned in this game. Nevertheless, it rewards you with an ability, which is the very ability you would love to have when you first game. Fire throwing for the witch, bombs launching for the Frog King, and a sling to move from one area to another from Betty. In this magnificent way, the game created a never-ending teaser with every level. As after the first level, you're well acquainted with the game's design, making you wish every time you had to weasel your way around a puzzle that you had the ability already. Thus, now you have all the abilities, but that's not all. The mysterious approach, coupled with the subtle environment storytelling, in a way distracts the player from finishing the story. You still don't have any of the 3 big souls. Thus, you return to each area, only to find that the ability wasn't only a way to get to another area, but also the way to get to the giant souls themselves, opening a new level that you didn't know even existed within the level itself. My God! Thus, you run in an epic showdown against many enemies with the music ramping up until you reach each giant soul. In this way, the game managed to create a distinctive identities for each area, with clever level design that keeps the player hooked, waiting to find out what's behind every door. Which gets us to the second reason why this game is fantastic: gameplay elements. Through such incredible design, the game has essentially wired the player's mind to always not leave any rock unturned, and when you do so, you're almost always rewarded. Filled with chambers that grants you upgrades to your abilities after beating the boss, of course, no babying, remember? And also weapons thrown out in the wilderness but locked behind amazing and engaging puzzles. Furthermore, there's a leveling up system back at the company hall, allowing you to upgrade your strength, speed, and long-range skills and so on. All this adds more to the replayability factor, as you wonder what other weapons you left behind, or maybe that you should upgrade a skill or an ability. All in all, making for a fun and an interactive gameplay experience. Third, the final boss. Yes, I'm dedicating an entire point for him. After beating all of the giant souls, you return to the Big Crow and open the door that lies behind it, your freedom. And with that, the game finally ends. Pfft, no, you meet Death. Sup, dude? And he tells you all about the formation of Death Doors and how he essentially outsourced his work because it was too depressing for him, to the Lord of Doors, who managed to create a door, but not any door. A door that sucks. Sucks souls, that is. With the catch that the Lord of Doors must die to leave the way for his successor. Until one Lord of Doors got too big for his breeches and said, "Nah man, that doesn't work for me, brother," and locked Death behind the same door you opened. All the while, the Big Crow got mad that there's still work to be done, so you had to defeat him. After that, Death stares you in the eye and says, "You're the one who needs to go and defeat the Lord of Doors to end all of this." Then you go back to meet him. And then he gives you this amazing prologue about that he knows his actions weren't really moral, yet he was fighting for his own survival, asking you that who wouldn't do the same thing, which then transformed him in a tiny moment of time from a villain with devious acts to a character with rationale and logic, which is honestly a great touch in writing. After that, the fight begins by you mostly chasing him through many of the doors that he's throwing at you, which is in its own a nice callback to the doors that you've been going in and out the whole game. Speaking of callbacks, through the chase, he'd suddenly move through a door to one of the 3 areas you've been to capture the souls of Betty, the Witch, and the Frog King. In these areas, you fight him until his health reaches a point where he moves away through another door. That's when you finally beat him in Betty's area, which he then moves you back to the company for the final showdown, which would take place in the very place it all started from. And after many attempts, you would at last have beaten the game. A boss fight that does not force a retrospective flashbacks, yet it introduces it quite organically, making the whole fight one to remember. Moreover, the character itself of the Lord of Doors having an actual reason for his actions and backbone to them adds so much to the meaning of this fight, and that in a way you're just doing what you believe to be right and not necessarily the objective truth. And the fight itself being hard and difficult but fair, making that moment when you finally beat him ever more significant. In conclusion, Death's Door presents itself as a liberating gaming experience with level designs that says more than actual words and gameplay elements that through said smart design manage to be engaging and fun, and finally with a final boss that is captivating in his character and fight. It is truly the best mobile game you're not playing.